Hello, and welcome to Check It Out, Comrade, an indie game podcast where every 2 weeks we bring you two indie games and tell you what we like about them. I'm Nick Lauber.
I'm Gary Butterfield.
And this week we're doing Guild of Dungeoneering and Her Story.
Yeah, two games that couldn't be too much different.
No, they're pretty
from
far
one another.
apart. Yeah.
Yeah, so Nick, tell me what is cool about Guild of Dungeoneering.
So first of all, full disclosure, we got review copies of this game from the lead developer, Colm Larkin, Gambrinus, and their publisher. So thanks to you guys for handing us keys, but that did not in any way influence what we were about to say. Just wanted to let you guys all know. So
Yeah, not at all.
Yeah. So Guild of Dungeoneering, it is a deck building dungeon crawler. It's real fun. It takes place, there's kind of an element of building up the guild itself, which is a way to build up cards and get new classes. And then there's the actual dungeon crawling bit where you get cards to build out the dungeon and place enemies with a goal in mind. And then the action takes place with a deck of cards as well, where you and the enemy both draw cards, and there's like a simultaneous, you each pick a card, the actions of those cards go against each other. It's real cute for a dungeon crawler. It's got a cool pencil art style, and I've been enjoying it so far.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of got three distinct play phases.
Yeah,
the guild building is analogous. Boy, do I not know how to say that word? Wow, I don't know how to say that word.
I know what you meant.
You could form an analogy in that it is. I've already done a lot of recording today. This is a long day. Also, I started, and this is, we can stay in the episode, but we don't have to get digressing on it. But I started watching Game of Thrones, which I was telling Nick about.
Yeah,
I haven't watched it. I just watched the wedding episode.
Oh yeah.
So I haven't had anyone talk to about it. So it's been this that's what happens when you watch a cultural event 2 years late. Get just oh well shit. Okay, now I'm all stuck. Yeah. But anyway, it is kind of like Rogue Legacy. How you build up things, but because it is your characters aren't persistent throughout time. It's not like you can keep equipment and everything. It all goes with that deck building style. So you're building new classes and then new chances at cards.
Yeah, and some that are also items you can get from the guild are also kind of effects that'll last you an entire run that you can switch between. I think they're like amulets or something. And it'll be an effect that you pick when you're blessings. Yeah, when you're first about to dive into a dungeon, it'll be some effect that will either last you some turns in the dungeon or be an overwhelming kind of effect that affects you throughout the whole run.
Yeah. So I mean, because the reason why I just pointed out that you're increasing the chances because the reviews in this game are surprisingly kind of middling, and I was surprised because I think it's really good, and I think that what it is it can be frustrating in that you're not ever giving yourself a concrete advantage. You're only giving yourself a chance at an advantage. And there's not deck building down to that granular level. There's no way to get rid of shitty cards in your deck, I don't think.
No, not to my understanding.
So, I mean, it varies from equipment and everything. But so that's the first phase. It's just kind of what am I going to get while I'm in the dungeon? And then you have your whatever character class you bring in. They have a base set of cards. Mm-hmm. And then you lay out dungeon tiles similar to a lot of tabletop board games.
Yeah.
All those cooperative D&D games like Castle Ravenloft and the like.
Yep.
Do this kind of thing.
That escape game we played recently.
Yeah. And that's a cool mechanic. I like that because you don't have direct control of your character. He just follows a logic.
Right.
He just goes towards, treasure and monsters.
Mm-hmm.
And then you have the actual combat, which is, kind of like any kind of collectible card game, but with this deck building element. So you don't know exactly what you're going to get. You just play a card from a hand. And I found it I think it's really good.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun with this and wanted to play it more. The really cutesy style, it's graph paper. You're drawing little dungeons like you would if you were making Dungeons and Dragons.
Little cutout characters and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Is the idea, and it looks really great. They're just cute little sketches.
Yeah. I enjoy a lot of the aspects. Another cool cutesy thing is there's a bard kind of narrating. He gives you the intro, and then when certain events happen, it's more bars to the same kind of tune every time you unlock a new class or if someone dies. Yeah, it's just it's got a real cute feel to it. And
Yeah.
I saw these guys also put out a like a future kind of progression plan of what's coming up. This is not an early access game. It is a full release, and it plays like it. There's plenty of stuff to do, but they are still tweaking stuff, and I believe they said a mobile version is in the works and all this sort of stuff. So there's a cool roadmap of what's coming out. I really appreciate, you know, the transparency from developers on that sort of thing. You know, you're not just picking up a game that's dead in the water, and that you're what you see is what you get.
Yeah, and it's up to you to trust them, you know, but because it's not in early access, I kind of trust them more almost.
Yeah.
Just because all the times I've seen like developers kind of take the money and run with that stuff, it's been early access. A mobile version of this would be great.
Yeah, that's like, what I was thinking. I want this game on mobile almost more than I want it on Steam. I want it plays the one really nice thing is that a run through the dungeon is, you know, pretty short per run. So it'd be a great, you know, transit game.
Yeah, but both games we're doing today are, and there is a mobile version of the other game we're doing, Her Story, but work really well to that format.
Yeah.
But this is it's fairly simple. So like I am interested in what they want to add to it, because the battles are tactical, but it's like the stakes are always kind of low.
Yeah.
Because you start over. So even if you've unlocked higher level equipment, you know, I played for quite a while, and you know, still like a lot, like 1 or 2 damage is always significant.
Yeah, I'm wondering. I think that probably is a characteristic of how little we've played so far.
Yeah,
because like Gary was saying, every time you do a run through a dungeon, you start over. Like you're back to just your class's base items, aside from your blessing, which, you know, might help you out in small ways, but it's not going to be a major change to how you're playing. So you dive into the dungeon, you're at level 1. And you have to beat monsters to get levels, which then kind of give you more cards to work with and more health to go off of. And I can only imagine that as you go through harder dungeons, the time spent kind of crawling before going for the objective is going to have to be longer. You know, the big bad is going to be, you know, if he's level 10, it's going to take you a good 30 minutes of going through trying to build out a dungeon that can make a path for yourself that hits a lot of enemies to get you up to that point without kind of overspending what your resources and dying.
Yeah, and that is where some of the tension comes from the game too, where like your little guy is always going to go towards treasure or monsters. And if the big boss is there, and there's nothing else to do, he will go towards that boss.
Yeah, if you built out a path to it, that's where he's going to go.
So you want to build distractions for your like little idiots.
Yeah, almost in like a tower defense kind of way. You want to kind of wind your path as much as possible before getting to the objective. And
it's also a little like Dota-y in that you're like fighting the creeps.
Yeah,
like, you know, fighting the lower tier enemies before you actually fight the bosses. The consequences for losing are really, so it has that randomization element to it. Just in that you're making it every time and you're drawing cards. So every dungeon is different, even though you have control. And we haven't quite seen that in like an Isaac-like or a roguelite game. But it is different every time. And the kind of one of the ways they ameliorate that, though, and it's not as hardcore as something like an Isaac or a Darkest Dungeon or anything like that, is that the consequences for failure are very low.
Yeah, this is definitely kind of a more player friendly, like less challenging, more casual game in that sense. But yeah, when you lose a guy, if you've built out a something in your guild in order to unlock a new class, when that guy dies, you just get a new level 1 guy, and the consequence is that you didn't get as much money to bring back to the guild. Yeah,
and you still get some money though.
Yeah.
Like, and you never run out of guys. Like, you don't have to hire them. You always have one of each class.
Right.
So it's very forgiving. Like, if you're looking for like a hardcore kind of roguelite experience, you're not going to get it. But it's really cute, and I love deck building as a core concept.
Yeah.
I really, really like that. So like, this does really, really cool things with that. The mechanics down to the individual cards are really easy to understand. And they're all like, the game has a very, very light tutorial because so much of it is just kind of evident.
Yeah.
You know, like, I know what a shield is. I know what a sword is. Like, it just kind of, it reads really quickly.
Yeah. One of the things we were talking about when we were, discussing doing this game for the show is like, you know right off the bat what this game is. Like you don't have to.
Yeah.
I'm sure there is some nuance to pick up as you get on later. Like how do you properly handle having to build up higher levels in order to take on higher objectives? But like as far as what is this game, how does it play? You know that the first time you go through the dungeon, it's gonna play like that.
Yep, it just ends up making sense. There's also like kind of a nice variety in the dungeons that you go through. Like they are all different, but they do have kind of themes to them. Did you do the one with the mimic?
I've played through as a mimic, or wait, no, the mimic as a boss. Oh, jeez, sorry.
Yeah, there's
the mimic as an enemy.
Yeah, not the mime character.
Not the mime.
Class.
You're right. Yeah. No, I've seen him in Northernlions video about it, but I didn't play, or I haven't played whichever dungeon he's in. I don't think.
It's kind of cute. Like you just go through and get some treasure chests in the first dungeon, and then he's the gigantic evil, the mimic creature says like, "Were you the person who looted my grandparents?" But the level is cool because it's a chase. Like it moves 2 turns or 2 squares per turn towards you, and you have to build out a dungeon and entreat your hero enough to be, to run away from him long enough to gain power to fight him. So he's coming for you no matter what. You just have to hope that you get lucky enough hands to like, take a long enough, circuitous enough route to avoid him.
That's cool. I didn't even know there was even like that level of nuance. I assumed all the enemies were statically placed. So
yeah, no, this one moves, and I hope that they do more stuff with it.
Yeah.
I really like this game. Like this really I'm gonna play more of it after the show, which I don't always do. Not because even if we end up playing games and I'm like, oh, this is super fun. Sometimes I don't end up playing more of it just because I'm playing games for other shows and mainlining Game of Thrones and doing homework and stuff. But this is something I want to play like more of tonight. Yeah. Like I really like it.
I really want them to get the mobile version out. Like I seriously, this is the perfect bill for me to have like as a bus game.
Oh yeah. I mean that is hard to argue with.
Yeah.
I think it will be. I think I could see it really taking off.
Yeah.
On a mobile market, especially if they do it, it's like $4.99. And they don't end up, or it's like a reasonable price point. I want to give them a price point, but it can be a premium price, but don't do any gems nonsense.
Yeah, don't end up purchase me. I don't want any of that.
But like $7.99, $9.99 even, I think it would be a good mobile game.
Totally. There's plenty of content here. It's I'm sure there's tons of replayability, even if there is like an end game that I haven't gotten in anywhere near yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, good game, guys. Like this is fantastic.
I also like it because on the front page of Steam, Total Biscuit reviewed it. So my plugin that changes anything that he says into his something awful rant shows up there. So like it's recommended by curators. Let's get this out of the way right now. I'm a 23-year-old. Yeah. My IQ is 155, and anytime that can pop up, that's my favorite Chrome plugin.
It is really great.
It's better than AdBlock. Like it is. It's supreme.
All right.
God tier plugin.
So that's Guild of Dungeoneering. Let's move on to talking about her story.
Yeah. Her story is a narrative. I guess we'd call it an adventure game. That came out just June 24th. It's fairly new. Developed by Sam Barlow. People may know who he is. He is a British video game director, and mostly known for later Silent Hill games.
Yeah.
And they're ones that are supposed to be decent too. Silent Hill Origins and Silent Hill Shattered Memories. One of those Cole has been trying to get me to play, since we did Silent Hill 2 for Watch Out for Fireball. So it is, they're not supposed to be the shitty garbage Silent Hills.
Right.
They're supposed to be the good Silent Hills.
Yeah.
And this is a game that is about, it is as narrative focused as, a Gone Home or something like that. Like, yeah, it is a narrative game, but the presentation is what makes it unique.
Right. And we, apologize for this, but we can't really talk about anything, not very much of the actual story going on here because the story is the game.
Yeah.
But how you unravel the story is really interesting. The game takes place in a police terminal where you have a bunch of you have a database access screen where you can enter search terms to bring up 5 video clips at a time that have included that search term within the dialogue of an interview with a murder suspect.
Yes,
a woman who her husband or boyfriend, I believe husband, went missing. And I forget all of the names now, so I can't even spoil those for you if I wanted to. But so she comes in, tells him about him missing, and then later comes in and says that she's discovered his body in her own, and this is right at the beginning, I'm not spoiling anything here, in her own attic in trash bags. And the story kind of progresses from there. You kind of have to start picking up on little cues from her that will give you an idea of something more to search for. Like if, for example, she said something about trash bags, you can say, okay, where else did she mention trash bags, and find more videos that way. Or attic, and you can search more videos that mention attic. And you kind of unravel this really interesting, twisting story that is told entirely via these tiny little, 1-2 minute clips of this woman answering police questions
in full motion video.
Yeah,
like it's an actress. It's not a video like a model or a polygon.
Right.
So it's the most impressive, like my favorite things about this game so far are things that you can say without spoiling. Because in the spirit of full disclosure, like I haven't beat it yet. I don't even really know what the win conditions are, other than just see all of the clips, I guess.
Yeah.
Like I don't know if I want to figure out what happened, and that's the drive. But I haven't gotten there yet, just because again those other life things have gotten in the way. But one this shitty old OS that it simulates is really believable. As a thing, and then search terms and search logic as a gameplay mechanic is something I have not seen before.
Right.
And you can't get full Boolean with this. I don't think you can do you can do quotations, but you can't do ands or ors or minuses or
I think
within website.
I think it's basically all and. So if you do murder and attic, then you will find only videos that have mentioned both in them.
Yeah.
Other than that, though, and you can the other thing it tells you right at the beginning. There's like a README on the desktop that says you can wrap something in quotes to only search for that phrase if you want to do multiple terms. That's really the whole entire mechanic for finding new information.
Yeah, that's the only thing you're mechanically doing, and when you're interacting and listening to it, you're just trying to keep an ear out for keywords or things that maybe connect with something else that or something where that's just kind of interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she mentioned this family member. I haven't heard about that before.
Right.
What happens when I search her?
Exactly.
One reason why I haven't gotten as far into it as I wanted to, even though I like it, and this is always I talk about this on other shows too, is just I read faster than I listen.
Mm-hmm.
And I get even if the clips are only 45 seconds long, all you're doing is watching clips in this, and I get impatient.
Yeah.
It's not a good quality of mine. I'm not defending it, because this is a game where it's important for it to be acted rather than text, because you're trying to judge this person's motivations and their emotional state could be important. So it's not a problem with it. It's a problem with me just being I can't handle these pauses between thoughts.
Right.
I get I get antsy when I'm not doing something in a game where you're not doing something very often.
Mm-hmm.
So what I've taken to doing is grabbing the scroll bar, and if you move it to the right, you can just read the subtitles.
Yeah.
And so that's what I've been doing, and it's not the best way to get through the game. It's just quicker, and something happened a lot, at some point in my development where I get very bored just watching characters in a video game just say lines. I need something to be doing with my hands or something else to, so that part kind of hits a weakness of mine while not being a weakness of the game, I think.
Yeah, I managed I'm pretty sure I only played for maybe 2 or 3 hours. I managed to stumble on, so just for your awareness and for other people's, there is kind of end conditions. It doesn't require you to watch every single video clip and find out each one. I believe certain videos are tagged with kind of flags that say, okay, start kind of the end sequence here. You get a musical cue, and then at some point after kind of unraveling a little bit more, I think possibly hitting a few of these flags, you get a sort of hint that you probably have the story now and you can quit. If you want to dig deeper, you're certainly welcome to try and get more of a full story. There's a lot of theory crafting online that kind of tries to round out all the loose ends. But there is kind of a main storyline plot that is what you're trying to uncover. And you said, like, you know, a lot of what you're trying to do is pick up on nuance about this, you know, this suspect. It's actually huge. The when you hit the kind of, you know, eureka moment of what's going on, which if you stumble upon the right videos kind of is even spilled out to you, it was the journey getting you there that's the important part. But once you hit that moment, it makes you rethink a lot of the videos you've seen already. So yeah, I'm sure you're not entirely missing everything, because, you know, you're probably getting plenty from the subtitles, but just for people who aren't, you know, equipped with that impatience, like there are things to pick up on out of it being an acted thing, and it's not done for purely, you know, no reason. It definitely has a nuance to it that is purposeful.
Yeah, I definitely didn't think it was done for no reason. I think it's just me being a baby.
Oh no, yeah, I know. I know you did.
Yeah, it is. And like I get that part of it. I'm glad that there is. So I played it for an hour. Like I you know, so I haven't gotten there yet. It's not supposed to be a very long game. Like, you know, you can wrap it up in 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah,
is my understanding. So like I definitely want to finish it. But I just haven't gotten to those points yet. And I have seen a lot of the nuance. What I've been skipping through are like pauses and the songs. For some reason she sings a lot of songs.
It's one song on, I think, 2 or 3 clips in total. That, you know,
it's definitely more than 2 or 3. But if it's one song, I've definitely found, like, I keep finding a lot of songs, things like that. So I am selectively skipping. It might be the same song, but it's over more clips than that, I think.
Okay.
But I'm selectively skipping. I'm not skipping like literally everything. It's just, you know, very, very long pauses, things like that.
Yeah, so, no, yeah, that's definitely, you're not going to be missing anything from that. There's definitely a point to get that you'll certainly get with that. So
yeah. So I mean, I'm interested. I just haven't quite figured it out just yet. I kind of wish that I played this on computer. Cole Ross of the network gifted it to me, which is very kind of him. I don't want to sound ungrateful, but I would have liked playing it on my phone as well. Just because it is literally like made up of 10 to 45 second video clips.
Yeah.
And you could kind of just keep it percolating in your mind and watch them here and there. You know, if that's how you solve mysteries. Like if you're the kind of person who is going to have like a bunch of notes that you're taking and you got like a corkboard and stuff, that's one thing. But like I tend to let stuff sit and then kind of have epiphanies about things.
Yeah, I didn't take down any notes or anything in order to get what I got on this clip or in this game. I basically, like, I took some advantage of the like save a clip function and the user tags to be like, oh, when I was watching a video and certain words would pop out at me, or like names or something that I hadn't heard before, I would put those in the user tags. Since, you know, they were already part of the transcript, it's already gonna cause it to return on that search query anyway. But then I can go back through my saved videos and look at my tags and be like, oh, right, I haven't gone down that thread yet. I haven't like explored that road yet. And then just kept branching out in that way until I found kind of the bigger arc.
Yeah, and the user
edging towards.
User tags and saved clips are kind of two mechanics we didn't talk about, and they're fairly self-explanatory.
Yeah.
But you can categorize something, you know, she might say mom in one thing, and then another thing she says mother, and then you can tag them both, you know, tag them under family or something if you want to get everything that has to do with her family,
right?
And or then tag everything that happened in the attic, or
yeah, exactly,
when she was with her, you know, the person who raised her and stuff like that.
Yeah, so those will be those will then return on those queries, whereas otherwise they would only return stuff that was actually said in the dialogue.
Yeah.
Because all of the search terms are just purely based on all of the words said in dialogue with her. So adding those user tags can help you kind of bring back videos that you already wanted to see, but then you also have this functionality to kind of save an unlimited number of videos in your own kind of filter at the bottom. So I kind of used it in a way I think not intended, but it was really helpful to be like, this video made me want to explore this road. I haven't been able to do so yet. I can go back and see. I wanted to, you know, after watching this video, there were 3 things that popped out at me. I searched one of those and was able to explore down that road, and now I'm kind of at a dead end again. I want to go back and try one of those other terms.
Yeah. So that's about all we can say, about it without spoiling what the actual story is, I guess.
Yeah. And like I said before, it is even after you kind of understand the main thread that they're trying to get you to gather, that there's still stuff missing from the story. You still don't get the entire plot purely from her and from the game.
Critical, yeah.
There's definitely like, oh well, what the hell was the intention behind it? Like there's still things that you're trying to figure out and kind of all of the nuance, but it's I got to an ending point and got a pretty good idea of what's going on. I think it's a pretty interesting story and worth spending 2 hours on. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to putting in the rest of my time and getting further into it. I dig it.
Cool.
So if you like this, if you like the show, you can support it by telling people about it on Twitter or blogs or what have you. You can rate and review us on Facebook and
on
iTunes. You can't do it on Facebook yet.
No.
But you can join us on Facebook.
Yes. At facebook.com/checkitoutcomrade, and we're on Twitter @ComradePodcast.
Yeah. And all those things are big helps. And if you want to help out the network financially, you can go to patreon.com/DuckFeedTV.
And we're always accepting, any recommendations. If you think there's something that just came out that you think we'd like, let us know via any of those venues or on duckfeed.tv/contact, and we'll add it to our list at the very least. Which has been
this
growing.
Was one of those, right?
Yeah. So let me.
I think a listener suggested this.
Give me 1 second. I know. I don't know if anyone suggested her story, except for Brayton and Cole, who both are friends of the network, and they both, they both are like, you need to play this. But Guild of Dungeoneering, Alan Del Rio on Facebook let us know about Guild of Dungeoneering, and I was like, oh yeah, let's get that going.
Yeah. So yeah, thanks, Alan.
Yep.
And thanks, Brayton and Cole. Sorry, I said you guys don't count. You guys totally count.
You guys totally count. But everybody, these guys already know who you are. So.
In large amounts.
Yeah.
So.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening, and we'll check you next time.
Yep. Take care.